Hey everyone, today we're going to discuss about the basics of hypothesis testing. Since our last lesson natin, we've learned how to estimate the population mean or the population proportion or even how to determine the necessary sample size in our study. This time we're going to deal with formulating hypothesis and how we're going to test hypothesis using statistics. So let's start first by determining ano nga ba talaga yung hypothesis. When we talk about hypothesis po kasi, it is a tentative statement or explanation of a phenomenon. It is a conjecture or assertion about a parameter. So, yun. A statistical hypothesis is a statement about the numerical value of a population parameter. But when we talk about parameter po kasi, we make a hypothesis kung ano ba yung meron dun sa isang particular population. For example, let's say na meron tayong isang alam na population of students. We hypothesize that the students would have an average of 80 in stat like that. So, or they have an average of 85 in GenMat. So that's an example of of a claim that we can make. So yun. Now, paano natin i-test kung totoo ba yung sinabi ko na ang average ng mga students sa statistics ay 80? Paano natin i-test yan? So, dun po pa hypothesis testing. So, it is a statistical testing procedure where a hypothesis is being resolved whether it is true or not. Di ba meron tayong claim na sinasabi natin na itong bagay ito ay true. We hypothesize na yung average ng students ng stat ay 80. So, we split it into two possible hypotheses. The null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis. The null hypothesis H sub 0 or H sub O states that a population parameter is equal to the hypothesized value. So remember back in normal curve, um, it's more likely kasi na pag kumuha ako ng sample, yung sample na yon mas malapit siya kay population mean. Yung sample mean, rather, mas malapit kay population mean. It is more likely na kapag kumuha ako ng any random sample, malapit yung sample mean niya sa population mean. Yun ang sinasabi ni null hypothesis. Yung parameter na sinet natin equal or at least close to the hypothesized value. Ngayon, paano pag malayo siya? Pag malayo siya, we consider the alternative hypothesis. It states that a population parameter is different than the hypothesized value. Let's say, in distance niya ay 2 standard deviations away or 3 standard deviations away. We say that it's far from the population mean kasi outlier na yun eh. So we cannot say that the parameter is equal to the hypothesized value. So from there, nire-reject natin yung null hypothesis. Now, isang importanteng kailangan din malaman natin about the hypothesis testing is we can never determine whether a hypothesis is true or not. Wala tayong sinasabi na magiging true ang hypothesis dito. The only thing that we can do is by proving if we can reject the null hypothesis or we fail to reject the null hypothesis. May mga resources kasi na sinasabi you accept the null hypothesis, which is incorrect to say at least. Kasi hindi naman natin din masasabi na porket ba hindi mali yung wala tayong evidence na mali sa statement na yun, ibig sabihin ba nun tama na yun. So, yun. Later I will have a deeper explanation regarding that matter. I guess in the next lessons that we have, once we actually test some hypothesis, we'll get to determine ano ba talaga ibig sabihin ng pag-reject and fail to reject na hypothesis. Yep. So, we have several tests that we do in testing the hypothesis. Meron tayong one-tailed test and two-tailed test. So, the test is one-tailed or directional if the alternative hypothesis is expressed using the greater than or less than symbol. Makita rin natin sa mga claims kapag more than or less than. A tailed is two-test or non-directional if the alternative hypothesis is expressed using the not equal sign. So, kapag one-tailed, ang ginagamit ni alternative is greater than or less than. Pero ang ginagamit ni null ay equals. Now, just a disclaimer lang din, in other references kasi, ang ginagamit ni null hypothesis is yung, kunyari, ginamit ni alternative itong greater than. Ang gagamitin ni null is less than or equal to. Pero pag ginamit itong lesson na to, si null ang gagamitin niya ay greater than or equal to. However, I stick na lang with the reference that we have in our book para consistent din yung video natin dun sa reference book natin. Kasi ang reference book natin, pag gumamit siya ng less, ng greater than or less than, it's the null hypothesis still uses equal, which is okay lang naman din. So, yun lang. Baka may makita kayong ibang references kasi. Pag two-tailed naman, mas madali siyang maaalala kasi ang null hypothesis laging equal, ang alternative laging mag-equal. Ganun lang. So, let's have some examples of how we're going to do this. So, given the following claims, let's state the null and alternative hypothesis. So, the first one, the average time that a person spends commuting is 45 minutes. So, sinasabi natin na yung average time daw ng isang tao na nagko-commute siya ay 45 minutes. So, the null hypothesis here is that the average time a person spends commuting is 45 minutes equal. And ang alternative hypothesis niya, average time that a person spends commuting is not 45 minutes. In this case, we say that the population parameter is equal to 45. That's the null hypothesis. The alternative naman is not equal to 45. So this is an example of a two-tailed test because the alternative hypothesis uses the not equal sign kasi not 45 minutes. And ito 45 minutes. So yung claim natin is pumapasok siya kay null hypothesis kasi it is more likely na ito yung mangyari kaysa sa not 45 minutes. So that's what we're going to test. Kasi bakit nga ba ito yung kinonsider natin na null? Kasi based dun sa definition ng null hypothesis, yung population parameter equal kay hypothesized value. So yung parameter natin na population mean equal dun sa 45 minutes. Okay? Next, the average height of Filipinos is less than 162.56 centimeters. So we make use of this less than here. Sino ang gumagamit ng less than? C, alternative hypothesis using less than or greater than. So, itong claim na to, papasok siya kay alternative hypothesis. So, yung null hypothesis natin, dapat equal yung hypothesis value pati population parameter. So, yung parameter natin na average height ng Filipino, equal siya kay 162.56. Yan. And yung alternative hypothesis natin, yung parameter natin, hindi siya equal kay 162.56 but rather it is less than. Naging mas specific siya. So in this case, we are going to use a one-tailed test. Kasi sa isang direction lang naman siya eh. Kaya nga siya tinawag na directional. So, the population mean is less than 162.56 or equal sila. Equal, bakit? Kasi null hypothesis. Hindi naiiba yung parameter natin average height doon sa hypothesized value na 162.56. So let's have the third and the fourth. In the third one, the third claim is more than 65% of Filipinos watch Korean dramas. So the first thing that we do, check natin ano ba yung null hypothesis natin. Dapat equal yung parameter at yung hypothesized value. Anong parameter natin? Yung proportion ng Filipinos na nanonood ng K-drama. So, equal natin siya kay 65. There are 65% of Filipinos who watch Korean drama. Remember this, a proportion. E equals 0.65. And, equal sila. Sa alternative, hindi sila equal. It is more than 65% of Filipinos watch Korean dramas. P is greater than 0.65. So, this is, again, a kind of a one-tailed test kasi it uses a greater than symbol. Sa isang direction lang siya pupunta. Compared mo kay two-tailed test, non-directional. Kasi yung not equal, it could suggest that it could be lower. It could suggest that it could be higher. So, it goes both ways. Pero kapag less than or greater than, it suggests one direction only. Kaya siya directional. Okay? And last, The average temperature of in Cavite, rather, in Cavite is 26 degrees Celsius. So, yung parameter natin, temperature, and hypothesized value, 26 degrees Celsius. So, the average temperature in Cavite is equal to 26. The parameter is equal to 26. And the alternative hypothesis natin, the parameter is not equal to the hypothesized value of 26 degrees Celsius. Not equal to 26. So, that's how we go around in creating a null and alternative hypothesis. So, we start with the claim, then we determine the parameter. So, dito, parameter natin, commuting, height of Filipinos watch Korean dramas, and temperature in Cavite. The hypothesis value, yung value na to. Yan, yung mga values na yan. The null hypothesis suggests that the parameter and the hypothesis value are equal. So, equal. And the alternative hypothesis suggests that they're not equal. Could be not equal, could be less than, could be greater than. So, bottom line natin, meron pa itong mga examples, we study about them, okay? So, the null hypothesis states that there's no difference between the population parameter and the hypothesis value. So, it's more likely to happen kasi because of the normal distribution. The alternative hypothesis states that there's a difference between the population parameter and the hypothesis value. So, in our next lesson, we're going to run down how do we perform a test in testing the hypothesis. Kasi maraming pwedeng test eh. Meron tayong z-test, meron tayong t-test, etc. etc. So, let's take a look on how we're going to test these particular hypotheses. Paano ba natin nalalaman kung i-reject ba natin yung null hypothesis o kailan ba natin hindi i-reject. So, I hope you guys learned a lot today. Thank you guys for watching and see you guys on the next video.